Feeling like it. Wife and I have been married for 13 years, together close to 15. 4 kids, including 1 adoption. High school sweethearts and all that. I am in the military, we move every 4 years or so her and I and the family are pretty tight. Christians involved in the church. Faith is a big part of our family dynamic, and her and my relationship. It isn't a casual thing by any means. Bonding is good, 2 to 3 times a week. My wife has homeschooled our kids. I am super supportive of this endeavor. But last summer she started to get the itch to work again. I told her we didn't need her to, but if she wanted to do something to get out, I supported her. I think other women in the church were spurring her on. She started working retail at a sporting goods store late August of 2017. She is one of the older folks there, lots of young peeps, lots of chatting and tomfoolery going on among some of the people. Not a highly professional environment. She works nights and she makes some friends and it is all good. Couple of new Facebook friends. One guy, still cool. Guy's name comes up infrequently when talking about work, but around mid-September he no longer has a name. It is the Air Force guy now, when she labels him at all. Cool, no big deal. Until the last Sunday in September. We are driving back from church and she is pensively in thought. She then laments how some people get away with doing nothing simply because they are friends with the manager. No segue into this conversation, but whatever. She explains more and I ask her who is talking about. She doesn't want to say. I keep pressing and finally she says the AF guy. I was like, okay, well just say that. She then stops talking. My conspiracy mind is thinking, why are thinking about this on the way home from church and why are you not wanting to share who you are talking about? 2 days later I log into her Facebook. We do this to check on a mutual female friend of ours who is not my FB friend, absent from church. Though kidding, ends up she left because she was having an affair. There is a conversation notification, so I look. Her and this guy are talking about his trip to Vegas and whether he will have a job when he comes back. She replies she is sure he will. Vegas shooting had just happened. The problem was it looked like there was more convo, but she was possibly deleting it as it went. She then deleted it before my very eyes. I get mad. That night she comes home and I am shut up, incommunicatively. Next day I roundabout ask her if she deletes texts from anyone at all. She says no. Later she jokes she would if she thought I would get mad. A few days later, still I am communicatively locked up. I search her FB history, can see that she searches for this guy regularly. She was searching before they were FB friends and after. She searched for others, from work guys and gals, as well. No more messaging as far as I can tell. When she goes to work I log into her account, both FB and Verizon, to see. Nothing. 10 days later, we've just had a good night. A little drinking, little loving, I am getting over it. She isn't searching for the dude. We are lying in bed and my wife is a little drunk. She out of nowhere starts talking about how this guy's wife comes into the store sometimes. Only now she says his name. Because she is drunk. She says the wife mean mugged her. Then she goes a really out of character for her. Starts saying things to the effect of if you want some, come get some, to the wife. The alcohol. I am over on my side just listening like, what is going on? Is this my wife? Super out of character. She sounded like a side chick. Sunday comes around, she normally does all her shopping. She will typically come home, change, then go out to get groceries. This time she doesn't change, and she looks great. It is also kind of cold. Odd that she doesn't change. Anyways, she comes home and tells me she went to her work to get her schedule for the following week and to buy her brother a gift card. She worked the next day. I'm thinking you could have easily done both things tomorrow. Found out later the guy only works Tuesdays, but this still bothered me. She had our daughter with her. 2 days later, she has had enough of my silence. She prods. I let her know what I saw with the texts and a little of her actions, nonverbals. She goes hysterical. He is nothing, not even a friend. There were only those texts, she says. I am heated, so I sleep on the couch. She comes out crying, trying to get me to come back. I told her I am not mad, but I can't sleep, so I stay on the couch. We are silent with each other, but we warm up. A week later, she comes home from work. It is Tuesday. I've started asking her who all she works with. I do the same. She tells me a host of folks. I look at her humorously annoyed. After more prodding she then says, and yes, guy's name was working. I told her thank you, just tell me, and get mad again and lay into her with the same feelings of why you act different with this dude. She cries, says it wasn't her intent. We kind of make up and I let it go. I install the keylogger on the computer and I track her Facebook searches and regular, not SMS, texting. I also have her SMS set up to work through Facebook and I get a notification via email when she receives a message through FB. Nothing since as far as messaging. I told her she had to put into not work Tuesdays. She complied without issue. I still ask her about her day, trying to come off as not snooping. I do care about her day, apart from her opposite gender interactions, but at this point it is hard not to care more about the one more. I show up to work unannounced. Nothing out of the ordinary. She is always really happy to see us. She has searched for the guy a good handful of times since I initially approached her. One as late as December 23rd, which to me, there was zero reason for this. But since it was near Christmas and we were with family, I let it go. If it happens again, I will confront her. She already knows that if something happens again, I will inform her folks and mine. We are all pretty close. My assessment, it was a work crush type thing. First time back in the workforce, first time on her own. They work near each other, like her area is close to his. I got annoyed when I realized he could basically be staring at her back the whole night based on their work spots. He's got this cowboy thing going on. She's always had a thing for cowboys and movies. We'll be moving soon, she's down to 2 days a week. If I am reading her right, she is going to want to quit soon here anyways. She doesn't work the one night this guy works. I am sure of it. We were good, really good. I was good regarding this aspect of our relationship. I don't think I was ever taking her for granted. We had date nights regularly and I was spontaneous and stuff. I make her a priority when I come home from work, buy her gifts out of nowhere, and really listen when she speaks. Part of the problem, I know her too well and how she communicates. Our relationship had, up to this point, really blossomed from when we were first married 13 years. I love her more, am more attracted to her, and show her more regularly the way I feel. I think she would say the same, but I don't know. Also call it pouting if you want. I legitimately was just wired. Like could have ran a 5,000 at that moment. Adrenaline. I am not good at arguments. So as far as VAR, it would be a smidge difficult. We have a talk to each other about every expenditure type relationship, and we have joint accounts which she checks for her reason. Online bill pays, and I check for mine, long-term savings. Plus, again, homeschooling stay-at-home mom with 4 kids, 2 of which tell me literally everything about their day and can't lie. But we'll see. I can monitor her phone, the calls and texts, and I have been every time she leaves for work, obsessed much. I've checked her purse multiple times for a burner phone. I don't think anything happened. The reason we are here is because I can read her and I am really sure she wouldn't be able to hide it. I know, typical right. I think others have commented with what I think is more going on in her head and I think nothing actually happened. To reiterate, that isn't what I suspect. I suspect she has lied to me about the amount that she talks to the guy while at work, that she consciously, unconsciously gave away that she was attracted by her choosing to hide the text and hide any dialogue about him. That she may enjoy the conversation and interaction too much. There are other guys she works with, same age, all that. No problems talking about them at all. I wouldn't be able to say that I have no basis for aggression against the dude if I felt otherwise. I think too often we Christians don't really understand that and don't set the boundaries that are necessary. Not to go off on a religious tangent. I told her, you know what we get wrong about that story. It's not the focus on God's grace to restore David after he did the horrible things he did. We should really focus on the fact that we need to freaking guard ourselves better. That should be the legit, no crap takes away from that. He wrote books of the Bible, and yet he fell for goodness sake. So, I got pretty intense when I confronted. But there were no consequences specified, that is valid. Also, it was hard. I don't like putting my wife in that situation. No gaslighting or anger, just crying and freaking out on her part. Also, it is hard to detail, but she has made comments that she knows things are different now. She can tell. She asks me all the time if we are good. I am not cold or mean, but she definitely set me back and she feels it. She is too embarrassed to say it out loud that she knows the problem, I suspect. Communication. This is all new territory for me. As far as consequences, they would include being interrogated from here on out whenever she is gone. Also, would include her giving me her phone and letting me pay to install a message recover app, suggestions for this, and some type of monitor. Finally, I don't think I would tell her folks, but I would make her tell a couple of her close female friends at church. This is again, if she only searches. At this point she believes I can somehow magically see her Facebook messages all the time. I suspect there won't be another text issue. That would be straight exposure, her folks, my folks, her friends and our pastor. Update. Wife quit her job the end of January. No goodbye to the guy. Her last day of work wasn't known by everyone. She ended up calling in her scheduled last day due to sickness. Things are good. We had a long discussion regarding infidelity spurred on by the woman I mentioned in my initial post. I was talking at her without talking at her basically. I think what made her realize how serious I was, she saw I was looking up some of the books that you all suggested I read. They popped up on her suggested items on Amazon. I think she realized even more how I saw this entire situation. No minimizing comments from her. Things were good, but it would be dishonest to say I wasn't still bothered and still felt that I hadn't said everything I needed to say and gotten the feedback from her that I needed. I hadn't confronted her the way I should have. I was still snooping her phone, still checking her Facebook, and still monitoring the keylogger. Thankfully, the Lord provides. Last said we were getting ready to have a couple over from church. We were playing around and flirting. I don't remember what exactly was said, something to the effect that if I didn't think she was good looking that someone else does. It was all playful, but we got on the subject of her working at the sporting goods store and she made the comment that someone there thought she was good looking, that she knew that some guys had checked her out. I don't remember what I said next or she. The crux was that a guy at work said that he wished she wasn't married. She said the guy's name. It was not the same guy, of course, but it was someone she was okay with talking about before. So, I was livid. and I think she knew almost instantly that she had made a mistake. Hopefully you all understand, it isn't the comment to my wife, although that bothers me. The issue is she didn't tell me. She didn't tell me that a guy had made a pass at her until months later. In the category of things that must be shared with the husband, someone making a pass at her is at the top of that list. Not wanting to ruin the evening. I couldn't hide my anger, but I tried. I said, you not telling me is why we had the whole issue before. You are keeping things from me. But I said, whatever, it's done. It wasn't done. But I put on a smile. We had a good night. The friends went home. It was late. I kind of cold-shouldered her. The next day was church. I was a little standoffish as I am mulling over what to say to her and making sure I got it right. In church, she writes a note to me, asking what is wrong. I say we will talk at home. Instant sadness in her face. We get home. I handle some business. The kids are outside. She is upstairs and I go in and ask her if she is ready to talk. She says okay. I start off by telling her I love her. I ask her if she feels or perceives that I hide stuff from her regarding the relationships, work, I have with females. Does she ever perceive I am keeping stuff from her? She says no. She is already tearing up hard because I am pretty stern right now. I said I feel like you keep stuff from me. I feel like when you tell me 4 months later that some guy made a pass at you that you are keeping stuff from me. Then I go more intense and say, in light of all the crap back in October, how do I not add this to that? How do I no wonder what and how much you are talking with these guys at work and what about? How? No answer except I am sorry. She is hysterical. I mentioned there was more that I perceived from the stuff back in October that I never shared because I felt like she had moved to make things right. But now I feel I need to address it and embarrass her further, but I won't allow these feelings to poison our relationship. I tell her that right now I live in this reality that my wife is willing to hide stuff from me. How can I operate in this marriage if you are going to purposefully hide stuff from me? She is hysterical. I told her point blank that you will not keep this type of stuff from me. For your heart's sake, for our marriage's sake, you cannot keep from me when someone is flirting with you. Because I must be able to hold you accountable and protect your heart just as you would mine, and I have made it clear that you can. She responds that it meant nothing to her and that because of October, she was afraid. I said being afraid is valid based on my first reaction, but we could have dealt with it, and certainly my response would be far better had you told me that day, rather than 4 months later. But I would have questioned you regarding this guy, and you should be okay with that in light of the crap that went down. I try to make it clear to her that it isn't the comment or the guy, it is the fact she chose once again to keep things from me. More crying. Hysteria. She is saying she is sorry. She is sorry she hurt me, sorry to make me feel this way. She loves me and only me. I can tell that she is deeply hurt as well. Through her eyes, this crap keeps coming back up. She is trying to be a loving Christian wife, and this one little incident is haunting her. I get it. I told her that. I told her that because I love her, I wasn't going to let this pass. Because I love her, I was going to make it clear what my expectations are for her and us. For the sake of our family, I could not let her think this was okay. I know it is in the past and that things are great now. But you have to know that when you work again what the expectations are. You have to know too, that affairs start this way. It seems innocent enough, but then one day it turns not so innocent. I will not allow the cultivation of that poison in our relationship. To end it on a slight positive note, I told her I need her to stop being so naive and believing that lots of guys wouldn't be attracted to her. I said don't be so vain, just be aware of how men operate. Stop thinking it isn't a reality with you, this whole incident proves it. Plus, you are great looking to me. Why wouldn't someone else find you attractive? There was more, but we made up. I held her for a while. She cried. Told her that I was done with this. We would move on and I would not mention anything again. I said what I needed to say to her. She was sad for a few hours. By that night though we were good, like she was cuddly, kind, and loving. I take this as sign that she knew I was right but also trusted that I believed she was sorry and had forgave her. We are totally good now. The last few days have been as good as ever and I don't sense any animosity from her or resentment stemming from her not believing she was culpable. She is no longer working. We are preparing for a military relocation here in the next few months. Back in January we expected to leave by the end of May. She took the job originally to make up some money from a few out-of-nowhere home issues. She reached our goal in December and by January was only working 2 nights a week before quitting. Consequences came up. I told her that if something like this happens again that I would tell her folks and mine, as well as our pastor. The conversation on Sunday, she was scared, man. Like really scared. I think she has changed her mindset, but I will stay vigilant. I will continue to be vigilant. Certainly, when she does enter the workforce again, if and when that happens. We've entered a financially good season of life, so that may not happen for a while. For example, she did make comments in the past that she wanted to quit because of my questioning. Although she would also say she missed the kids and did not like being away from home. At times I feel it was just a defense response to my questioning. The hysterical crying, yes, probably some truth there. I think the attractive to the world part may be right. I think she was not as willful in her deception here but was more caught up in it, if that makes sense. I think she is naive or low self-image, just based on other unrelated conversations. as to how men might actually see her and might be attracted to her. She did not have a PA. I also think calling it an EA, while it may be good for me to spur me to action and make me focus, is a little rash. I monitored her social media, email, keylogger on the computer, made announced visits to her work and many more unannounced, and never caught her doing anything other than working, and every time she was only happy to see us and never seemed nervous or off guard. She always went to work at the same time and came home at the same time. No odd actions after coming home, no shower use immediately or anything like that. I checked her purse many times to make sure she wasn't stowing anything extra with her, clothes, lots of makeup. Plus again, I am here because her actions were only slightly off and I still caught them. I just don't think she would have been capable of hiding it at all. Most women aren't, which is why many guys find their way here, right? The whole gut instinct thing. It isn't the old "my wife isn't capable or would never do that." It's really that she isn't good enough, sharp enough to do it. I am not entertaining the idea of divorce. I believe I am far from that. I have learned though that I am not the one that needs to be held accountable. Or rather, we are both equally in need of accountability and boundaries. She understands that she needs to be forthright and candid with her interactions with guys. At this point, it really isn't difficult to watch her like a hawk, so to speak. It isn't obsessive as it was in the beginning, it just is the status quo. Some would say, why live that way? At this point I say it is necessary. Infidelity just seems rampant. I mean, within my church, someone who I would have measured my faith by committed it and is living in it. It scares me, and for the sake of my family, I do not mind being a little more on guard. I think I've gotten pretty decent at doing it in such a way as to not come off as insecure. Because honestly, I'm not. I am ready to blow the next mistake up, without hesitation. Full exposure of the slightest thing to our family. My comment: man, this marriage is tiring. Do you really want to spend your life watching her like a hawk, really? Story 2. In May, my wife of 6 years expressed her wanting to move out. I bluffed. On the 17th of June we got into an argument and I made her leave. Pushed her out. The next day she filed. Slept on people's couches, saved up and got a new place. At the time I had been unemployed for about 3 weeks and was about to start a new job in a week. I lost everything. The house, I wrecked my truck, the job. I went nuts, called 50 times in a row apologizing. Texts all day and night, drank constantly. Showed up where she was. Used GPS to track her, used her friends too. In the beginning she said get help. I chose not to. This has been going on for a month. She used to say she still loves me. Now she says she hates me because it's easier. This last week has been the beginning of a new page. I don't call as often. Still text a lot. Got a new job that pays better. Went to talk to a therapist. Come to find out I'm borderline impulsive aggressive disorder and bipolar. For years she's told me I'm mean and have mood swings. She was right. I never knew I was hurting her so bad. I thought people got angry and argued. They don't. I want her back. I messed up her heart and, in the process, took one parent from our son. Right now, I'm sleeping on my mom's couch 30 miles from her. Today I thought it would be wise to ask my wife, who left 2 months ago, if I had a chance in the future. If not, should I move on? She said no way. I'm still in love and it's okay that she doesn't right now. I ruined her faith in me. If I would have just listened to her as she left, she said get help. Instead, I flipped out, smashed stuff, drank, pestered her friends, kept calling over and over, crying and pleading. That destroyed her heart. It's still pretty fresh. She explained it as a gaping wound. I asked if we are over. She said yes. I asked if we had a chance. At first said I don't know. I said that's not an answer. She said no chance. I asked if I keep up with myself and I prove I'm not the monster I made myself out to be. Say a few months, then maybe. She said I don't know. I can't plan that far out. I think I screwed up again. Shot myself in the foot. She is hot and cold. Says she loves me. Says she doesn't. I may have confronted this too soon. She hurts a lot right now. I'm being kind of patient. Not enough though. I intend on going dark today. If it's for the best, then so be it. She will call tonight to ask about me getting my son. Nothing more will be discussed. It sucks because for 6 years she has been my best friend and really my only friend. My life has changed by leaps and bounds over the last 2 months. Bipolar diagnosis, and the breakdown brought on by a combination of the disorder and my world caving in has hardened me. It must be for the better, has to be. Otherwise, it's been a fruitless journey. It's time to put down the purse and pick up my pride. Update: I wrote her an email last night saying good morning, have a good day and remember you're beautiful, awesome, and no one is better. She replied. I replied a couple dozen times. It ended up not being civil. At one point she accused me of sabotaging our son's welfare by playing Call of Duty with him and watching scary movies. I told her to screw off and sarcastically said I want him to be a junkie loser that spent 12 years in prison just like his daddy did, and when he gets out, he can meet the love of his life and have her tear his heart out just like his mommy. That didn't end well. I've been sleeping on my 60-year-old mother's couch for 2 weeks. She stays up till 3 a.m. smoking dope and watching black and white TV. I go to work at 6, up at 5. So, for the last 2 days I have had 2 hours of sleep. I was cranky and I knew it. At her lunch break I called and explained myself and apologized to her. It wasn't fair. She accepted. Tonight, she took my son to the county fair and said she would call. A few heckling texts and jokes. She calls at 10. I say, what the hell? I am tired and wanted to sleep early. Moved in with my younger brother tonight. She says sorry. First time in months she has apologized. My boy was on a ride so we spoke. She says, remember baby steps? I say, if I schedule an app with a MC will you come? She says yes. She filed for D the 18th of June. I got served July 16. Until now she has said no to MC. Not sure if she's trying to twist the knife or let off some. She's not a B or a person to live in hatred. She might use the MC to illustrate her reasons for leaving. I forgot to mention, while talking to EA, I said I don't think you two should be anywhere near each other again. He said, what are you going to do about it? I said I would. Let's say do bad stuff to him. Screw him and screw her too for doing this. I'm making my changes. All she's doing is falling in the arms of an emotional rebound who's a drunk reject, ugly as hell too. She can't keep her head out of his advice and a bottle long enough to see what she's losing. She wants happiness. She'll find it. I am finding mine with or without her or her BSM in control attitude. There is more than her future at stake here. I hope she really figures that out someday. Been going back and forward with my wife for a while now. She filed in June, served in July. She's agreed to counseling. She's not considering stopping the divorce. Today she said she loved me. I guess she says the divorce is final on the 9th. I don't know how. It's taking a long time for mail to catch up. I have to go to the courthouse today anyway, so I'll find out soon enough. Now I'm here wondering, what the hell? I can't make heads or tails of this situation. She says, baby steps, refuses to separate rather than divorce, sends me signal that we have a chance and tells me not to trip. She also says we are done, but she doesn't know. This has got me baffled. Is she biding her time till it's final? I tried to go dark, but if I do, I don't stand a chance for any reconciliation. We speak amicably. We don't yell or fight. We work on things as they come along. Next Thursday is counseling. We will see how it works. Every step I take with her, it's two more back. I want her back. She left me because I couldn't deal with stuff. I did a long time in prison for dumb stuff. Went in as a teen, came out at 26. I lost a great portion of life experience I know is needed to care about someone. All of the sudden I had a wife and a teen stepdaughter that had issues and a baby on the way. I made the best of it. Or I tried. I made journeyman electrician. I bought vehicles, but I was crushed by debt from a former life and fines. I lost her through thinking I had control. That I'm the man. I stopped listening. Over time she realized there was more to it. I had issues. Depression, mania, impulse control issues. I was at a loss as to what to do. After she left, the day she left, I spiraled out of control. Magnified everything that was bad. In that light, I saw what I had become. I sought help. Therapy, meds and meditation. I want her to see this. I'm capable of change. That I want it in her. Update, wife left 3 months ago. Said get help. I ignored her as always. Instead, I went crazy. I went to booze and attempted X. I didn't go through with it. I sat in my room with a rifle in my mouth crying until I passed out. Pretty much sealed the deal. She thinks I'm looking for her to save me. That's not true. I broke down at the sudden absence of my family. 2 months of booze and insanity. I broke down. Got help. Went to a therapist. Diagnoses were BPD and impulsive disorder. I believe these were pivotal in her leaving. Now there has been so much damage done since she left. I lost her. I don't know what to do. My comment: if you have strong BPD traits, as you say, MC likely will be ineffective until you've been in IC for a substantial period. Staying in such a program probably is the best thing you can do for yourself and the best chance you have of persuading your W that you are serious about changing. But the change is unlikely to occur quickly. A substantial change will likely take several years of hard work. Focus and work on yourself is the only way. Subscribe and see you in the next one.